Mauritius is a very multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious society. It's a small island nation, an African origin and Indian origin population predominantly, with some Chinese population and a small white population as well. So there's a really strong mixing of religious beliefs across this group. So you have Christian, Muslim, Hindus, and then you also have some Buddhists in there as well. The project that we're working on was looking at how people use supernatural beliefs to understand illness and treatment of illness. We're particularly interested in folk medicine and what conditions might increase people's willingness to decide that this was caused by God or ghosts or spirits or karma.
Researchers Aiyana Willard and Micheal de Barra of Brunel University, London, are studying how religion and spiritual beliefs affect the way people think about the causes and treatments of disease and people's willingness to accept folk remedies. The study combines contemporary fieldwork in Mauritius with historical records of folk remedies common in Ireland a century ago.
There was a program instigated 1930s in Ireland in primary schools where children were asked to interview parents, grandparents about a range of different topics, local history. One of the topics they asked about, remedies or cures for different diseases. It's kind of an interesting insight into the psychology and culture of an era that to some degree has passed. There are certain kinds of questions that we need to ask using more diverse samples of people. And one way to, get more diverse groups of people is to look to the past. These kind of data from dead minds can really provide insight into how people, 100, 150 years ago were thinking about health and disease. We were interested really in why some of these treatments were more supernatural or more religious, and why some were more kind of materialistic.
So we're interested in whether or not uncertainty would increase people's willingness to use supernatural explanations for disease. So this would be situations where something's happening and you don't really know what caused it.
If the disease is an understood thing, the nature of the disease might suggest certain kinds of cures. But some of the more opaque diseases, they kind of fail to suggest any kind of solution. So perhaps in those situations of uncertainty, the more religious or supernatural cures seem like they might work.
And we did find in both projects some evidence that uncertainty or causal opacity do lead to increased supernatural beliefs. The other things we were looking at were things like severity. We didn't find any evidence that more severe diseases were more likely to be using these supernatural cures. And then the other one, reputational information. Someone did something bad in the past and then they're now suffering from an illness. Would you then expect that that illness is coming from God as punishment or coming from some other sorts of source, karma or witchcraft? The reputation one we did find strong evidence for. So people do take into account someone's past actions and if they deserve some sort of punishment. Illness is a really particularly interesting one for supernatural beliefs. People do just sometimes get better because of their own natural immunity without a fairly deep scientific knowledge of how immune systems and viruses work. We, as a species, we want to know why things happen, particularly important things, why they happen to us.
The assumption that contemporary medicine is radically different from some of these older or more distinct medical traditions isn't justified as much as we'd like to think it is. And I think studying, for example, these folk medicine cures in Ireland or the medical practices in Mauritius provide a different viewpoint on medical and religious psychology that is influencing a lot of how medicine is practiced more broadly.
The supernatural beliefs are ubiquitous. We find them everywhere. Religious beliefs are everywhere. And it's important to recognize how we try to solve problems in our lives using these beliefs and how we apply them across different contexts.